by virtue of the Commanders losing. And the Packers had always controlled their own destiny for the final playoff slot. And so if the Packers won yesterday against the Vikings, later on in the day, Washington played early, and then Green Bay and Minnesota played in that late window, then the Commanders would be eliminated. And Ron Rivera didn't know. So he's sitting there at the podium yesterday, and the reporter asks him, will that affect your decision-making to play whoever at quarterback in Week 18 if you're eliminated? And you don't get the full sense there because you just heard the pause, but in the clip, Rivera stares at this guy, and you watch the wheels, the gears turn in Rivera's head, and he's staring at this guy, and it looks like a cat looking inside a fishbowl. Like, how'd that fish get in there? And can I get in there? And how's that working? And then he says, we could be eliminated? And we could be eliminated today? The reporter goes, well, yeah, if Green Bay wins a little bit later. He's like, well, we'll see. And he's trying to cover up that he doesn't really know, but he definitely didn't know. And then after the game, even worse, tried to do damage control by saying, I just was only focused on what the scenarios are if we win. I would never focus on what happens if we lose. I mean, come on. And the problem with this is not just a head coach being in his own little world. If you knew you could be eliminated by virtue of a loss yesterday, I think you coach a little bit differently. I would think. I mean, Carson Wentz was bad. And I just feel like it's so tired for me to come on today and bang the drum about how bad Carson Wentz is. But the last couple of weeks, I've said I don't understand making a change back to Wentz. Yes, Heineke hasn't been great, but we know Wentz is worse. It's why Wentz was benched earlier in the season. Heineke gives you a little juice. He gives you a little pop, a little energy. Again, he's probably getting exposed because he's undersized and he's in a group of 5 quarterback, but he's better than Wentz. And they go back to Wentz yesterday, and he throws 3 interceptions, gets sacked 3 times. He's again awful, but even in the 2-touchdown loss, they never yank him. And so would Rivera, knowing that they could be eliminated by the time the day is over, would he have not pulled Wentz for Heineke at some point in time? Would he have had a quicker hook? Would he have started Wentz at all? Was there a different way to coach? Would he have gone for it on every 4th down? I mean, I do think that Rivera needed to know that he could have been eliminated. Now, again, who cares? It's not like Washington was going to do anything in the playoffs anyway. But for everybody that loves Rivera, and I certainly think he's a reputable, good guy that Washington is needed to stabilize things there, and they were in the playoff race for a while, you kind of need to know this. I do think you kind of need to know your playoff scenarios, win or lose. I don't know, Mraz. I saw this clip, and I was like, boy, I kind of feel bad for Rivera because he's called on in class, and he clearly does not know the answer.
And also, Ron Rivera has been the one guy in Washington that seemingly has been in control of a mess for 3 years. And how do you not, when you're making a quarterback decision, nothing goes through your head that there's a chance you could be eliminated this week? Like in the third quarter, as Amari Cooper scoring again, was Ron Rivera like, no worries, we'll go get him next week.
Exactly. I mean, if you knew you could be eliminated versus assuming you had a chance to get in still next week, you probably pull Wentz in that game, right?
Yeah, and you might be thinking the week of, maybe in the back of his mind the week of, he said, you know what, give Wentz a shot, and if we lose, we still have a shot next week. Like that, the whole decision could have been altered. We don't know. If he didn't know they could be eliminated.
And Carson Wentz, how over is this story?
Oh, he stinks.
He's awful.
2 straight years, playoffs on the line. He collapsed with the Colts. I couldn't give you anything versus the stinking Browns yesterday. Enough.
Yeah. Last year, good point. That was the final regular season game against the Jaguars in Jacksonville, and he completely melted down. It was a win-and-in situation, and he was awful. I mean, just really, truly terrible. And then yesterday, the same situation, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks. We got to combine those 2 days and see what the stat line is. But he's just, oh, God, is he awful? I mean, will anybody try to do the reclamation project this offseason to Wentz? I hope not.
I don't. I think that ship has sailed. I think he's officially a backup quarterback if he wants to be going forward.
Yeah. Ron Rivera. And I don't know. There was definitely a moment or two when I was in school where, you get called on. You're like, oh, God, I don't know this.
Paying attention.
You're not paying attention. You're reading something else. Your mind is wandering, and you just start stare. He had that stare at the teacher like, but I don't know.
DA, the stare, the non-answer at first, all of that could be explained. You can't utter the words, we could be eliminated. You have to just, go through something in your head. You actually can't say that out loud, and he did.